Welcome to ISCT 2024, day 3. And we are not ready for this to end.
No, we're not. But also kind of ready for this to end. So much going on, so much fun. And we have a rookie ISCT TV ambassador here with us, also in ESP. Let's ask Maggie what her favorite part or what some of the highlights of the meeting have been.
Well, other than obviously getting to interview people as part of ISCTV and like meeting all the lovely people for the first time, I guess the ESP networking session was really fun. Getting to meet people that are sort of at my career stage, but in various different like roles and areas like from across the globe. It was like a real fun mix of getting to talk to other people in a more, I guess, like informal setting as well, and getting that networking in.
What do you think of the sessions?
I really enjoyed the oral abstracts, especially my work is on like NK cells. So I was seeing this year like a lot of energy about car NK cells, which like is something that's really close to my heart that I really enjoy. So seeing that really explored in sessions has really inspired me to get back to my work, my postdoctoral work. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Lovely.
So as you know, we had the presentation of the ISCT Mayor Awards winners on Wednesday. But early today, Maggie got to interview Paul, which is the recipient of the Technologist Award, and it's the inaugural, the first time we give this award. So I want Maggie to let us know how that went, and we can see it.
I'm here with Paul Eldridge, the winner of the inaugural Technologist Award this year. First and foremost, congratulations on winning the award.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming to speak to us today. It's brilliant to have you.
Glad to be here. Always fun to talk about ISCT.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So if I could just ask you a couple of questions. I really wanted to know, if you had to pick one, what would be the highlight of your career so far?
Oh my gosh. I mean, overall, which is, seeing the patients and how we've been able to help them in various ways, from the old days of just whatever we can do to being really able to use modern technology to get very specific treatments and cures for their diseases. It's been very exciting and fulfilling.
Yeah, it sounds very rewarding to be able to follow them on that journey together. That's amazing. And I also wanted to know what excites you the most about working in this constantly evolving field of cell and gene therapy?
Just always something new. I mean, I'm a scientist, and so I love learning, discovering, but I'm also a very engineering type person. I want to use what I learn. So being able to take that from the bench to the bedside is perfect for me.
Brilliant. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm like in basic science as well. And yeah, it's attending the talks here. They're just so detailed and so exciting, hearing about all the different technologies that people are using. It's really great.
Yeah.
And as someone with extensive scientific experience in cell therapy and transplant, do you have any advice for ESPs who are just at the beginning of their journey?
Oh gosh, cell therapy has always been an exciting field. So, but now the scale of it and the opportunities for young investigators, young people in our area, is just thrilling to see. It used to be people would have to move and relocate to find an opportunity to participate. Now it's almost everywhere, so it's really fun.
Yeah, that's really inspiring to think that it's expanded so much, even like within your career. So yeah, it's exciting. Thanks so much for joining us today and answering my questions. You've been brilliant.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks.
Hi, we're here at the ISCT Institute of Training and Development, and I'm joined by Linda from CMAT, and we're going to talk about the hands-on laboratory bootcamp for cell therapy biomanufacturing. Tell us about it, Linda.
Right. So we at CMAT have partnered with ISCT to create this boot camp and also a virtual course for the cell therapy field. The virtual course has been going on since 2022, so it's been offered several times. It has 12 modules, it's online, it has expert panels, but the feedback we got was that people also needed hands-on experience. They needed a trained workforce, and this field is very new and moving very fast, and it's hard to find people who actually have the skill sets. So if you take someone right out of college, or someone who's worked in an analytical lab, for example, or someone who has worked on clinical teams before, but not doing cell therapy, they will not have the hands-on skills that are needed. So we responded by creating this course. How I actually got into it is because we were collaborating on a big multi-site clinical trial with 5 different clinical teams, and out of all of them, I think 2 had seen a pipette. They had done clinical trials before, but they needed to be able to do cell counts for the dosing, quality control, safety testing, cryopreservation. So that's sort of how we got into the conversation with CMAT and ICT and found the joint interest to create this course. So the target audience is someone who's new to the field or someone who's moving from a related area but into the cell therapy field. So if you worked in an analytical lab, or if you are just starting that type of job, or if you are hiring on a team and you need to get their skill set up, you don't want to spend the first 6 months of just training them, because the people who train them on your team also have other things to do. That's the target audience for this. So it's a week. It's a boot camp. We're going to start from the basics. This is a pipette. We're going to cover things like, this is how you culture stem cells. This is how you would culture your CAR Ts. This is the different bioreactor options you have. This is how you do the safety testing, your endotoxin, your mycoplasma, your cell count, your cryopreservation, your characterization and release assays. And we're going to compress as much of those initial months of training as we can into 1 week.
I mean, it sounds fantastic, and it's a fantastic opportunity and a great thing for employers to do, to send their people off and get them trained in a really concise manner, in a well-acknowledged and improved manner. So tell us when the next one is and how do people go about registering?
The next one is in August. It starts August 12th, and if you go to the ISCT website, you can sign up for it. If you sign up for it now, there's an early bird special for the
Good to know. Good to know.
But there's also different ones depending on if you're coming from academia, for example.
Sure.
You get the academic rate, because we know that.
That's fantastic.
People will ask. So yeah, it's in Atlanta. It's on the Georgia Tech campus, and it's in the Marcus Center for Therapeutic Cell Characterization and Manufacturing facilities there, which is a research center that is set up more like the lab space that you, if you were going into industry, would be working in. But we'll cover things that are applicable if you're going into cell therapy on the industry side, or if you're going in on the clinical trial side.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks so much, Linda. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for all the work you're doing, because it's really important.
Congratulations to Paul, one of my mentors, in receiving the first ISCT Technologist Career Award.
Oh.
And I think it's amazing, and we need to recognize that ISCT is bringing all these new awards, because we need to recognize all the members across all disciplines and gene
Different
therapy,
levels, yeah.
different levels. Yeah.
Everything. We can't make therapies without everybody.
Exactly.
When it comes down to it. But next, we're going to hear from a previous Career Achievement Award winner, Don Cohn, who will talk about his world-renowned expertise in stem cell and gene therapy for rare diseases.
So welcome back, everybody. We're here today with Don Cohn, and we're just having a little bit of a discussion about some of the challenges developing advanced therapies for rare and ultra-rare diseases. Do you want to get us up to speed on some of the key challenges, Don?
Sure. I mean, the challenge of rare diseases, they're rare. And so therefore, that translates to small market, translates to small profit. And so, the science is not limiting. We can cure many of these rare diseases with antisense oligos, with CRISPR, vectors. There's all kind of therapies that are quite effective. And we can even show in phase 1 trials that these work and can be curative. Yeah. The challenge is moving from sort of academia, where you have a grant funding the work, to getting it as an approved product.
Right, and I mean, we heard today some of the discussion around then, how do we get reimbursement for that? Who pays for it? How do we make that work? And that linked into, the key conversation around perpetual IND. And do you want to talk us through that a little bit? Do you think it's a possible thing to happen?
So the FDA allows you to continue to manufacture under an IND. So an IND is what you get to start to do a trial, give a human a non-approved drug.
Right.
And generally the goal is you go through an IND till you apply for approval. You can manufacture continually on an IND, that's allowed, and they even have a mechanism to recover your costs for manufacturing. But two problems with that is, one is the amount you can recover really barely covers the raw basic manufacturing costs. Right. And, if you're doing a program, you need a research nurse, a data manager, all that other stuff can't be reimbursed from the IND. And someone has to agree to reimburse it. So it's one thing to set up a charge and the FDA will allow you to do it. Insurance companies generally won't pay for unapproved drugs.
Right.
And so it's a real challenge. In discussions I've had at various other meetings about what about manufacturing at the university, but under approval. Yeah. And the FDA is open to that if your facility meets their standards, which is difficult. We do things much more on a shoestring academically.
Of course.
And we give good products to patients, but it's not the quality level the FDA expects of a drug manufacturer, which we want them to have for our drugs. And so they will allow manufacturing at academic facilities, and they say, but often universities don't want the responsibility of liability of manufacturing commercial product.
Sure.
That's not their business. And so it's sort of this paradox, and it's hard to move past it.
And at the end of the day, what does this mean for our patients? Because that's right. What we're trying to get it for, right?
Absolutely. And so what it means is that patients aren't getting treated.
Yeah.
And we developed a gene therapy for ADA SCID. We've now treated 37 patients. 35 are basically cured for lifetime, we think. And we are struggling to get enough funding to do the manufacturing work to get approval by the FDA. And it's a lot of money to do that work, to demonstrate you can make the product consistently at high quality. Yeah. And to get over that barrier, and then it'll take a long time, even if you've got approved product and got reimbursed, to recover those costs. And so it just doesn't fit well with current business models for rare diseases.
Right, so we've got to do something really disruptive and mix it up a bit.
Right.
So just one last quick question. What's been your highlight for the meeting?
There's so much good science. I still like the basic science and the basic discovery of stem cell biology.
Yeah, lots of exciting stuff happening. Yeah. Thanks very much. Thanks so much for being with us today, John.
Bienvenidos a ICT TV en español. Y hoy nos acompaña Abigail y Jamie, y son de Ecuador y Chile, y vamos a tener una buena entrevista con ellos.
Claro que sí, qué gusto estar nuevamente con ustedes. Muchísimas gracias, Lisette. Abby, Jamie, muchísimas gracias por estar con nosotros. Bueno, la ISCT es pues una propuesta que quiere llegar justamente a nuestros profesionales, los más jóvenes. Y quisiera tener unos pics de algunas cosas con respecto a ustedes. ¿Cómo se ven en el futuro? O sea, ¿dónde quieren llegar? ¿Y cómo la ISCT les va a ayudar en este proceso?
Bueno, yo me siento agradecida primero por estar aquí y veo que la ISCT me ha brindado la oportunidad y el espacio para dar a conocer el trabajo que nosotros realizamos en el laboratorio. Entonces me ha abierto las puertas a hacer conexiones y estas conexiones a realizar colaboraciones que en el futuro me pueden servir justamente para seguir avanzando en la investigación, que es el camino que yo quiero seguir, que está lleno de retos, pero que es necesario hacerlo, especialmente en nuestro país, que la investigación no está al mejor nivel, o sea, en cantidad, pero sí en calidad.
Claro que sí.
Bueno, yo estoy muy agradecida porque, primero que todo, la ISCT me pudo brindar esta oportunidad de venir a presentar mi trabajo, y ver como todos los resultados que hemos sacado en el laboratorio y venirlos a presentar en un póster y explicárselo a muchas personas que están interesadas en lo que hacemos y decimos, wow, vamos por buen camino, tenemos muy bellos resultados y cómo estos resultados pueden ayudar en un futuro a las personas, ¿sí? Pienso que la forma en como la ISCT nos puede ayudar es abriéndonos estas puertas a venir a presentar nuestro trabajo, quizás en algún financiamiento respecto a becas que pueda acercar más a los jóvenes a estas estancias, donde podamos ver los trabajos que se han realizado en este tiempo y que se seguirán realizando en un futuro.
Excelente, qué mensajes tan claves. Muchísimas gracias.
¿Cómo ha sido esta experiencia para ustedes? Tengo entendido que es la primera vez que están aquí en el ISCT. ¿Cómo ha sido esta experiencia?
Para mí ha sido muy enriquecedora, ha sido lleno de información muy valiosa y justamente hemos dado a conocer nuestro trabajo, nuestra investigación y eso ha permitido tener el intercambio con otras personas que están dentro de nuestra área de conocimiento o incluso en otras áreas y han podido aportar desde su conocimiento, desde su perspectiva, cómo podemos profundizar en la investigación que estamos haciendo, cómo podemos ampliarla y ponerla también desde otro punto de vista. Y ellos al igual se han inspirado en nuestro trabajo y han visto la forma en cómo ellos pueden aplicar lo que nosotros hacemos en la investigación que ellos realizan.
Bien. Jamie, ¿y tú?
Pienso que es muy importante, bueno, esta instancia porque primero me gustaría como en un futuro estar más enfocada en la parte de ensayos clínicos. Entonces, esta instancia me permite ver como qué se está realizando hasta el momento, en cuáles enfermedades quizás hemos avanzado más, en cuáles enfermedades se ha avanzado más poco y cómo potenciar este tipo de estudio desde la parte del punto de vista, perdón, desde el mesón y cómo llegaremos como hacia el paciente.
Perfecto.
Excelente.
Bueno,
Bueno, querida Lisette, llegamos al final de nuestro segmento de la ISCT en español y agradeciéndoles a todos ustedes por estar con nosotros en este gran meeting.
sí, perfecto. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
And we're back. I'm sitting down with the Director of Business Development for DMC, Chris Shad. So you want to tell us a little bit about what Destination Medical Center is all about?
So Destination Medical Center, it represents a 20-year, $600 million investment by the state of Minnesota in the city of Rochester. Rochester is the home of Mayo Clinic.
Oh, I was going to say, it's known for anything else?
Yeah, it's known for Mayo Clinic. It's the world headquarters of Mayo Clinic. Mayo has 80,000 employees worldwide, roughly 40,000 in Rochester.
Yeah.
So the city of Rochester and Mayo Clinic went to the state 12 years ago and asked for some help on public funding for infrastructure investment.
Okay.
This economic development agency, referred to as Destination Medical Center, was spun up as a result of that. And our agency has two jobs. Make sure we invest the $600 million in the right kind of infrastructure to spur and support economic growth. And the second job is to drive economic growth, leveraging the infrastructure that we put in the ground.
Yeah. And where else better than Rochester?
Right.
Right. So you have another component to this, or a component called the Discovery Center? Is that
Discovery
correct?
Square.
Discovery Square. Thank you.
Yeah, so Discovery Square is one piece. It's a really interesting piece of infrastructure. There are people on the DMC team that deal with roads and bridges and transportation and all that stuff we think of as infrastructure. Discovery Square, we think of that as healthcare technology infrastructure. So it's an innovation district that we've built from scratch. It's a place where technology companies are moving into Rochester and working with each other and with Mayo Clinic to take their technology to market.
Okay.
So some of the DMC funds, some of the $600 million were used to help the construction of a couple of buildings. And in the future, we'll be using some of those funds to build out shared laboratory space for early stage companies. And so we're referring to this as healthcare technology infrastructure, a different definition of infrastructure, but one that still meets the meets the definitions in the legislation.
Well, that's always important, right?
Right, there's a lot of eyes on us when we're spending $600 million.
Yeah, well,
right?
Speaking of which, so if you spend all that money to develop this infrastructure, when can people reach out to you and start looking for space within this Discovery Square?
We've been doing this now for 4 years. The first building opened up in 2019, so I guess that makes it 5 years. That building is full. The second building is half full. Wow. And the plans are already on the books for the third building, so we're off to a really good start.
Fantastic. And they just reach out to you?
They can reach out to me directly. Yep.
Email? Anything in particular?
Nope, just send me a note through email and easy to reach me.
Okay. Yeah. Any other reason why somebody should consider, I mean, if Mayo's not enough, if the Discovery Square facility isn't enough, any other reasons why someone should reach out to DMC?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a story that's not been well told is the breadth and depth of the innovation in healthcare technology in Minnesota at large, right? So it's the home to Medtronic. You got Boston Scientific, you got 3M, you got Mayo Clinic, United Health. There's hundreds of thousands of jobs in the healthcare technology sector, thousands and thousands of companies in that sector.
Yeah.
There's so much experience in taking technology to market. Companies can get their technology to market faster in Minnesota. We have the data that supports that because they've been doing it for literally decades and decades. So you take the presence of Mayo Clinic, you take the infrastructure we can build, and you drop it all in the middle of what is sometimes referred to the medical alley of the country, and that's where innovation gets to market fastest.
Yeah, and I mean, these companies that you mentioned, I mean, they have scalability without a doubt. They have supply chain support.
Everything is there.
Backup, yeah.
Right, all of the service providers, the manufacturers, the design teams, everybody is there that is needed.
Sounds like a typical Mayo kind of approach.
Do
having
it right.
The best.
Go big and go best.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right.
Welcome back. We are here with Rachel Berga, who is the co-chair of the Early Stage Professionals Committee.
Yes.
So we call them ESPs around here. I'm an ESP.
I'm an
You're
ESP.
an ESP.
Yeah.
We have wonderful mentors
Yes.
that help us in the ESP program. But ultimately, what are some of the mandates of the ESP program? Why do we develop it? And what are your plans for it? Well, you can ask about the plans.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as you mentioned, co-chair with Kevin Bossy for the ESP committee. It's an awesome committee, honestly. It was one of the ways that I got introduced to ISCT, and I think it's a really great opportunity for early stage professionals, so anyone within 10 years of your terminal degree or entrance into the field, to really form a network, one, and first and foremost with each other, to really get to know who's who, that's also a trainee, that's maybe in regulatory or in research or in process, and just kind of build a network together. And that's really interesting as you continue to advance in your career. Now you have a network that you know. Yeah. So that's one half of it. And I think the other portion is really connecting with mentors and ISCT's awesome leadership and presenting different opportunities for ESPs to work closely with mentors and leadership on certain initiatives, as well as learn from them and kind of shadow from them. So right now we have 3 different working groups. It's really fluid. It really depends on the passions of members of the committee. But right now we have a lot of ESPs that are very passionate about mentoring. And so they are supporting directly the mentoring program, which is actually an ISCT initiative, not just for the ESPs, but it's an ISCT initiative that pairs up mentors and mentees in very small groups. It runs for most of the calendar year, and there's both monthly virtual mentoring sessions with the actual mentors and mentees, as well as things like webinars, white paper resources, additional training resources. So that's one component. Another component is community engagement. So we have a lot of people that are very passionate about community engagement. It can take many forms. One of the cool things this year that some of the really interested people were working on was an initiative that was focusing on creating a database of K through 12 scientific education resources. And that's just a database, right? So you can use it if you're presenting at your kids' science fair to a group of 5th graders nice. And want to tell them what cell and gene therapy is, and you are looking for some tools.
Oh, that's great.
It's a cool database of what other ESPs have either done or found, or articles or resources. So that's just one example. And then the third group is education, and some really interesting education initiatives there.
So I think everybody will agree that the ESP program has been a huge success,
I
and
agree.
especially
Yeah.
in the last year. And I think you kind of already alluded to the question that I'm going to ask you next, and is what are the benefits for the mentees and the mentors to be in this program? What do you think they get out of it?
That's a good question. A lot. In my very biased opinion, I think there's a lot of benefits. But I think one of the big ones is inherently in this field, if you're a trainee, you have a mentor professionally, right? Your PI or your boss or your CSO or whatever component, you have a direct mentor that's assigned to you, if you will. But it's really nice in ISCT to be able to connect with mentors that you probably otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to connect with.
Yeah.
Maybe they're different institutions or different countries. So I think it's a really great opportunity to connect worldwide with leaders. And then for leaders, correspondingly, it's a great opportunity for them to get to know trainees outside of their own institution or outside of their country or anything like that. So it kind of goes both ways, but it's really expanding that web, making a network that's really connected.
You wear a lot of hats, though, within ISCT
Yes.
as well, right?
Yes.
So not just the ESP, but you also are with the cytotherapy,
Cytotherapy,
right?
yeah.
So tell us about your experience with cytotherapy and what some of your initiatives are.
Yeah, it's been a really great opportunity. I've been working with cytotherapy for the past couple of years. So if you read a tweet or LinkedIn or our blog, it's me behind the scenes. So a lot of that is in my voice. So now put a face to the voice when you're reading it. Hopefully that helps and doesn't make things weird. But a lot of that is me. But honestly, I think what's really exciting with cytotherapy is the opportunities we are starting to provide for ESPs to become more involved, because scientific communication and publishing almost seems like an iceberg a little bit away. Unless you're in it, you don't really think about it unless you're submitting something to cytotherapy. But cytotherapy has been working really hard to promote more ESP initiatives. Last year, we actually piloted kind of having our first program of ESPs that are part of the editorial board. And so that's really great. It gives them exposure to what it's like to
Great experience.
be a reviewer frequently, but also to be part of a larger board and get a little bit of insight into the strategy. And so that's something we hope to expand this year. And, stay tuned.
I want to thank you, Rachel, for being here and sharing such amazing information about ESP program. And next up, we're going to have Alicia that caught up with one of our ISCT 2024 exhibitors, Biocentric.
Yeah.
So let's see what she has to say.
Hi everyone, we're here with Chat from Biocentric. So Chat, tell us a little bit about Biocentric and why you guys are a unique CDMO.
Yeah, thanks Alicia. Biocentric is a really unique CDMO operating in the cell therapy space. We were established in 2019 as a full CDMO, but before that we spent about 3 years building the site in Newark, New Jersey as a full cell therapy focused CDMO. We don't do anything else, and we focus on early stage preclinical phase 1, phase 2 clients, which we believe have the most need for support from the CDMO community. They have processes that require some attention, that would definitely require help from a CDMO to get into a clinical setting and eventually a commercial setting. So we provide a lot of value in that space. We've built a track record over the years. We've dosed over 20 patients in our clinical settings with our clients. There's a big pipeline behind it. We operate in mostly in the T cell space, CAR T, TCRs, as well as MSCs and other cell types that we excel in this space.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a lot of experience. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your LEAP platform?
Yes, it's very exciting to talk about the LEAP platform. We launched it, in fact, a year ago exactly at the ISCT conference. I don't know if you might remember. In Paris, exactly. So very exciting to be a year beyond that initial launch. We have now 2 proof of concept workflows. So I'll talk a little bit about what LEAP is. LEAP is essentially attuned to our mission is to accelerate therapies to clinic. And to be able to do that, we spend, if you look at the tech transfer timelines for a client coming into a CDMO, it's excessive of 12 months. Yeah. Again, we're spending 12 months looking at if you look at a CAR T program, similar activities that happen in a CAR T process, the selection, expansion. So we thought of putting that into a modular system. So depending on where you come from, we can essentially plug and play your therapy into our workflows. That essentially cuts down a lot of documentation, a lot of tech transfer activities, a lot of training, a lot of equipment purchase and setup, and IQOQs and things like that. So essentially, our goal is to reduce tech transfer timelines by 50% for our clients. So faster INDs is what we're aiming for.
So getting everything out there much faster. That's fantastic. Do you want to give us a specific case example of Leap in action?
Sure. Yeah. We've in this year that we've launched, we've had proof of concept in 2 cell types. Our goal is to build a Leap platform for every cell type that we operate in, but by far. T cells, CAR Ts are the most popular in our industry right now, at least right now. So we built the CAR T platform. We built one for NK. We're building as we go, and there's different options. So for CAR T, what we've done is we've built a workflow. We worked with our partner Terumo BCT in doing that. We've had a poster this week showcasing the results. So fantastic results of that effort. Lots of cell expansion. That's great to see. So we're trying to expand on different unit operations. You would say, give the customer the option to choose where they come from. They might use different equipment. They might use different technologies. So we want to be able to support that internally and say we have the similar platform workflow. So let's onboard to that rather than us telling you let's change everything in your process, which is not what customers want to hear.
Sure, that's really fantastic. So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's very easy. Biocentric.com. We're always pretty responsive. We're again, facing the customer early stages.
Yep.
So we turn things around very quickly. We like to be agile and working with our clients to get things done faster. Again, our mission is to get things done faster.
So that's amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us.
So welcome to ISCT TV, and we are day number 3. So I'm accompanied here by the ICT Trailblazer Award winner, and this is an award that is given for emerging markets that honors those who have demonstrated leadership and impact to advance the growth of cell and gene therapy in the region. So, Chin, tell us about how you felt when you heard that you won this award.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me on TV. I was very humbled, very honored, especially coming from our region in Southeast Asia. And Malaysia is a very small country by comparison with all the other large countries. To be honored, to be recognized. We've done a lot of work in our region, but of course we always look up to ISCT and the big domineering countries here. So yes, I was very humbled and very honored to receive this award.
This award started last year, and here Andres was the first winner.
Excellent. Well, for you, Shane, and for me, I think it was an honor to have this award because it provides a platform to increase the impact of ISCT in the regions. And regarding on that fact, I would like to know how you see that this award is going to catapult the impact of your research or your efforts in your country, Malaysia.
Yes, thank you, Andres, and congratulations on being the inaugural winner last year. I see ISCT as the big umbrella that allows all countries to standardize the definitions of cell and gene therapy, and also to standardize how regulatory authorities may include and stem cells, not just from within, but stem cells from any part of the world to be imported or to be exported. And so I think that actually allows for a lot of very convenient transitions globally.
How would you see the future of our interaction between Asia and South Central America, and even with the US? What would you build from this prize and from your professional development, these interactions, these future interactions?
To be very honest, I'm still in shock that
Okay.
from a country like Malaysia, to be able to link and to be able to speak globally to everyone. I hope that we will be able to do a lot more international, multinational clinical trials, and that will really harmonize stem cells. To be for stem cells from one country to be tested out in multiple other countries, all on the same platform, on the same criteria and protocols, and to get the results. I think that would be one way of all of us working very closely together. And also, one of the things that I've been working very, very hard on over the last 10 years was to get stem cells universally accepted. And again, even though I'm not Muslim, but I come from Malaysia, which is a predominantly Muslim country, in a predominantly Muslim region, we have worked hard for stem cells from any source to be acceptable to the Muslim community. And we succeeded in that.
Oh, that's
The
great.
OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, lately endorsed stem cells from allogenic sources to be Sharia compliant, to be halal. So that I think helped to maybe make stem cells acceptable to all. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for accepting this interview, and let's see what else we have for the rest of the ICT meeting. Thank you so much.
Hi, William. Hi, Danny. Wonderful to have you at the ISCT TV to share more about the upcoming Singapore Cell and Gene Therapy Conference, Pan-Asia Summit together with ISCT. Welcome on board, and could you share a bit more about this conference?
Thank you so much. Yes, so as you can see, we are organizing the Singapore Cell and Gene Therapy Pan-Asia Summit in Singapore in July. This will bring together many speakers from the region as well as in Singapore as international. Well, it's really going to be an exciting conference because this is going to be the cell therapy conference in Asia this year, and it's the main activities sponsored by ISCT this year. And it's going to have a whole bunch of speakers, including TechMac, who discovered the T-cell receptor. It has Mahendra Rao from the NIH Regenerative Medicine. It has Pui from Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center, and many other speakers who will speak about a whole slew of expertise in cell therapy, in immunotherapy, regenerative medicine, exosomes, and many, many more. We also have a pre-conference workshop on regulatory affairs and also hands-on visits to different sites. So it's going to be a really, really exciting conference.
And I hear Miguel Forte is also joining us in Singapore for this conference.
Yes.
Who's the incoming ISCT president.
Yes.
Wonderful.
We will have Miguel Forte as the incoming ICT president. We have Zlatibor from Australia ANZ. Yes. And we also will have Pawan Gupta, the incoming VP-elect of ICT Asia. Yep, we really look forward to welcoming guests to Singapore. And Singapore, as you know, is right smack in the center of Asia. A lot of activities going on there. I think the government of Singapore has always been very supportive overall in terms of advancing medical research, clinical trials. And in the field of cell therapy, I represent the ACTRIS, which is the Advanced Cell Therapy and Research Institute of Singapore, which basically aims to serve both the clinical community, the research community, and also industry in order to forward and bring the cell therapies to our patients in Singapore. We certainly welcome all delegates to come to Singapore, the land of the crazy rich Asians, maybe more emphasis on crazy than rich, with Marina Bay Sands and many, many activities you can have here. And I would say that it is really, we are at the cusp of growth of cell therapy in Asia with a sharp inflection in cell therapy activities in Asia. And we are hoping to have a tremendous increase in the membership and activity of ISCT and the presence of ISCT in Asia. So I strongly encourage everyone, come register for the conference. The QR code is there and the registration portal is SCGT2024.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much to see that excitement in both of you. We look forward to having this conference soon. And thank you again for joining us.
Regulatory content has always been a big focus for ICT. And ICT second annual Global Regulatory Summit started the meeting, and now we have the Global Regulatory Perspective content sessions. So I think they've been an excellent addition.
So if you want to know more about regulatory sessions content at ICT 2024, Alicia caught up with Dominic Wall. And he's the co-chair of the ICT Global Regulatory Task Force Committee. So let's listen to what they have to talk about.
Hi, so we're here with Dominic Wall. Dominic, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, hello. My name is Dominic Wall. I'm a member of the Global Regulatory Task Force, and I'm the co-chair of our local Legal and Regulatory Affairs Committee of ISCT in Australia and New Zealand.
Given all your wealth of experience, what is your opinion on the ability of regulatory bodies to actually anticipate the upcoming changes that are going to be happening in cell and gene therapy, rather than always having to be reactive to what some of the developers are trying to push through?
And that's always been the challenge with cell therapy, because many of the people in the cell therapy community just think about the whole landscape purely in the context of cell therapy. And what was really good about the regulatory summit that was organized is that we heard perspectives of the new technology coming through and how the regulatory agencies were anticipating those changes. If you were solely living in the cell and gene landscape, you might not have been so aware of those other changes happening in other forms of the technology. And the reason that matters is that as much as we think everything exciting that's happening in medicines and cell and gene, the truth of the matter is a lot of excitement in other modalities. My personal interest for most of my career has been cancer therapy.
Right.
And in that realm of human activity, there's been massive innovation with radioligand therapy, theranostics. There's also, as we all know, has been very disruptive changes in vaccine technology with the
mRNA.
LNPs and mRNA. And I can't help but notice that in the oncology area, there's been enormous regulatory innovation associated with the mRNA technologies. And that became very evident when we were talking during the Global Regulatory Summit a few days ago, where the call to arms was given to us by those who are working in base editing and trying to introduce new gene therapies for children with devastating metabolic disorders. And in that context, you're dealing with patients where the N is 1. There might be only a handful of patients in the world with that rare gene disorder. There's also a burning platform. It's not a very nice expression, but the truth of the matter is that the child's going to die in weeks to months from that disorder. And it needs to be a personalized, tailored gene therapy for that patient. And what was really striking to me was the discussion from the regulatory agencies around the world where they were anticipating this technology. And I wasn't aware that there were legislative changes working their way through the FDA with their bespoke therapy programs. Now, the caveat for all of that is that mRNA is a lot more controllable than a cell. And there was discussion around platform technologies, and you would have heard in the Global Regulatory Perspectives, we spoke at the 3 roundtables around how we could synergize the development for one product to support multiple products. And if we're thinking about rare genes, we will have to do that. We'll have to find a way where if we have an approval for one product and we're only changing one base pair, how much reworking of the regulatory package has to be done to facilitate that next product. And it was very informative to see the agencies preparing for this landscape, anticipating some of those changes, as well as, I think, industry anticipating the requirements for that. Notwithstanding that sense of excitement around the agencies preparing for that, the truth of the matter is we're still not ready. And the best example for that is that as much as we spoke a lot about orphan diseases and rare gene disorders, in my own jurisdiction. In Australia, we have no orphan scheme for biologics. It's only for other treatment modalities such as prescription drugs. So I think there's still an enormous amount of work to be done to prepare the region for these technologies. But I was actually excited and honestly, I now realize I was uninformed about how much work the agencies are doing, as well as some of the other programs, the CoGEM program that FDA is doing with other regulatory agencies to look at the adoption of new technologies with those agencies into their respective markets. So I think we're not always aware of how agencies work with one another, and it's very uncommon for us to actually see the agency thinking about how they're anticipating those new technologies. But because that innovation is not always within our ecosystem, it's clear that they are doing work preparing for the changes coming down the pipelines.
Thanks so much, Dominic.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Alicia.
I'm joined by Shin Kawamata, one of the co-chairs of the ISCT IPSC Signature Series. Shin, welcome.
Thank you
In
very
your
much.
opinion, which are the most promising clinical applications of iPSC-derived cell and gene therapies that are likely to achieve regulatory approvals?
Well, so the approval-wise, and cardiomyocyte and RPE, epithelial pigmentation, that is kind of very easy to get approval. But promising-wise, maybe gene-edited CAR-T and gene-edited and NK would be more challenging and promising.
Thank you for sharing that. We can see that there's a broad spectrum of both immune-based cell therapies and regenerative medicine that you see developing out of iPSCs. Great. And in doing so, what are the key challenges for translation of iPSC cell-based cell and gene therapies to the clinics and thereafter developing a sustainable business model?
Well, so we still need some evidence. The iPS-derived product is much more superior, the primary cell line or not. We do need some kind of scientific evidence first. And the other one is also the economy. Because should be compare with existing therapy, how it's beneficial for the health economy-wise. That is kind of the hurdle.
Thank you, Shin. What can the delegates expect at the upcoming ISCT IPSC Signature Series event?
Well, so we should share the big picture about the development of iPS-based cell therapy. The sharing by the KOL from stakeholder, from academia, the bioventure, and the pharma, and regulatory.
Thank you so much, Shin. Thank you, Shin, for joining us. We look forward to learning some of the key takeaways from the IPSC Signature Series. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And here we are at the end of our amazing ISCT TV in Vancouver for our Vancouver event. It was an amazing meeting.
So amazing.
So we cannot finish without inviting our ESP ambassadors.
No, we cannot. Where
Come
are they?
on,
Where
come
are
on,
Where are they?
the ambassadors?
Oh, they're here. Oh my God.
All right, everybody.
ISCT TV
big goodbye.
invasion.
Big
Big
goodbye.
Big goodbye.
Bye.